It is Tuesday, September 17th, 2024. This is podcast number 187. Let's get into it, folks. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Hidden Oaks Overdose Football Fix podcast. I am one of your lovely hosts, the Garlic Johnson. We are joined, as always, by your other lovely hostess, the Joshua Mitchell. Josh, say hi to the folks out there.
Hi, folks.
We appreciate everyone who interacts with us in our Discord. We appreciate at Levi Oki Illustration for all the beautiful art he has provided us over the years. And Josh, I appreciate you. And because of that, I would like to know how you do.
Hi, Darren. I'm Darren. How are you, Darren?
I'm doing good. Anything exciting happened in your past, in your life in the past week there, Buckaroo?
Nope, not really. Nothing worth talking about, at least. You know,
all right.
Just watched some football. Got a little happy. Then got a little sad.
Happens to the best of us, brother. Walters has joined the audience. Shout out to Walters. Assuming you were about to ask me the same, I can say not much exciting happened for me either. It's just exciting to be back in the football swing. In the mobile game I've been playing so much of, we just started like a brand new phase of the game. Season 1, it's called in the game. And shit is crazy different now.
Wow.
And so that's been a lot. I actually spent a lot of my time today trying to get a lot of my free time today trying to get a lot of stuff for that game figured out. So, but I won't sit here and talk about it on the pod because that's boring for people. But fearless, or what's the right word? I don't know. Something to say. That's why I've had less energy for fantasy football, because this game's actually taking a lot out of me. All right, Josh, since both our personal lives are hella boring AF, you want to get right into some football?
Yeah.
All right, buddy. We're not really doing the segments thing anymore. I don't think I'm going to do the segment start times anymore because I'm lazy, and the person who asked for them stopped listening 5 years ago. But Josh, we have current events listed here. I'm sure you didn't have anything else in mind than the football games over the weekend, but anything particular come to mind as you wrote that one bullet point today? Anything from the games you want to talk about?
Well, I did want to put more on, but I just didn't have enough time before the podcast because you were in a rush to get started.
Josh, I asked you 4 times if you were good to go, and I told you I could give you more time, and then you're like, no, I'm good, and now you tell me you wanted more time. I ought to fucking come over there and tan your hide, son.
Well, I wanted to do a bit, and I couldn't find enough stuff to get it down, and I just didn't want to take the time, but to preview maybe the next week's bit. Yeah, well, hang on.
Just like me.
We'll get to that.
Trash!
Yep, that's me to my fantasy teams on the weekend. Don't worry. That's well, maybe I'll do a little preview and see what we can do next week. So I want to do something that I like to call. Yeah, we'll call it fact or feeling. So, Gary,
facts don't care about your feelings.
I don't know if you know this, but sometimes I get a little emotional when it comes to things, and maybe a little bit overreactive to different situations when it comes to fantasy football or football in general. So maybe I'm just gonna pull up some different like things that I see throughout the thing, and then I'm gonna just word it how Joshua Mitchell words things, and then I want to just see if you think it's actually a fact or if it's just my feeling.
Oh, okay.
And you know, so today, for example, I'm just going to go out there and I'm just going to say, based on one of my matchups going against this individual and having him on my team, Alvin Kamara might be the biggest impact player in the running back position in the last decade.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Sure.
Like, he wins more games from the running back position than any other running back in the NFL.
That'd be, I don't know how you would figure that stat out exactly, but that's very interesting. And I'd definitely be interested to see the work you put in that for sure.
Well, you know, it is actually a fact because today on the Reddit, which internet can't lie on that.
Can't lie on the internet.
As far as now, I don't have the tweet pulled up because preparation is laziness. But I believe it was he just passed LaDainian Tomlinson as the running back with the most like top scores in that position. So I think he has 16 total like top running back finishes for a week. LaDainian Tomlinson was 15, and then I think like McCaffrey was 9.
Damn, okay, so like the biggest splash weeks, like we all remember the 7 touchdown performance or 6 touchdown performance, whatever it was, on the Christmas game. So you're saying Alvin Kamara has the biggest like carrier week games or the most amount. That's crazy.
Yeah, and my interpretation of that is he is he single-handedly wins games from the running back position more often than any other running back because technically he has the most splash games.
Sure. Okay. I that's a segment I could get down with, and I appreciate the fact that I have to do almost nothing for it, and it sounds like you'd have to do all the work for it. So that's even better. Maybe one week we'll swap.
I might just do one or two things each week. Doesn't have to be a lot,
brother. I'm doing. If I got to do nothing, you can do as much or as little as you want. I don't care, bro.
Yeah, I was gonna do a everybody in the NFL is hurt this year. Convinced me otherwise. Is that fact or feeling? And I'm looking at some of these injury reports, and I think that I'd have a basis on fact.
Sure. Yeah, and I think it's an interesting. Sorry, you probably had another point, but that's interesting you brought that up because I think it was last year. Walters. I want to say it was Walters. It was like, man, QBs are dropping like flies this year. And my classic response to you or Walters or whoever when they say something that's at all sensational, I'm just like, guys, let's fucking relax. We're not having a record year for this or that. And then I think we ended up. I don't know if it was true at the time or if it became true later, but there were a shit ton of QB injuries last year, and so it's just things like that I think would make the segment really interesting. So that's a good idea, Josh. I like it. It takes us a couple of weeks to get in-season form, but I think that could be really cool.
Yeah, I mean, just call us, just call us the Bengals. I mean, we don't always come out the gate swinging, but we will finish strong. But yeah, talking about injuries, I guess that's kind of some of the current news. Gar, how many of your teams got decimated by injuries?
Ooh, I don't want to say a number of teams because having 9 teams, it's hard to quantify for sure. I know Deflate These Balls is certainly feeling it the most. Just my top line players of Puka and CMC. Of course, I was able to, not snipe. I guess I grabbed him before anyone else thought to, but I got Jordan Mason, so that softens the blow a little bit. But certainly at least one team, I would say. And then, the Hidnoaks Redraft League also losing Puka. That's not great for me. I think I'll be okay for a while. Especially if Josh Allen can carry me like he did week 1. But so at least one team, maybe 2 or 3. What about you?
Can you tell me what it's like to have your first round pick play for your team?
Do you have tell me about all your first round picks, Josh? Obviously CMC is one of them.
Well, I mean, just CMC is the one that I'm talking about.
Oh.
But it's like, apparently Jonathan Taylor is like, fourth quarters aren't for me. I don't care. So he didn't play at all in the fourth quarter against Green Bay. AJ Brown is just like, ow, my hamstring. So now he might be gone a couple weeks. I'm only in 2 redraft leagues. I guess 3 technically if you count the Champs League. So those are my 3.
Why would you not count the Champs League?
Because it's newer to me.
Okay.
And I'm just, if I was going to count all the leagues that I'm not going to get a win in this year, I'd only count 3 leagues like towards my totals because I'd eliminate the Champs and the Hidden Oaks League.
Sure.
But and you want to know what those teams have in common?
What is
Chris
it,
Olave.
Oh no.
He's not hurt. He's just Chris Olave. And I think
didn't he have a good week? Did he have a good week too?
Yeah, he had like 6 catches for like 14 yards or whatever. I don't know. Yeah, you'd think, with the Saints putting up 90 points in the first 2 weeks of the season that Chris Olave would have at least some points. Nope, Alvin Kamara, you can score 75 of those points. And then, I don't know, Raheed Shaheed or whatever. He's just going to dive bomb for the next 20 of them.
Bro, I know. It's brutal. I'm going to cut you off again, but it's just like, so obviously, if you remember from the Discord, I was going back and forth on, oh shit, T's in the on it. Shout out to Cousin T. This fucker's going to get married
twice if you're dead.
What was my point? Oh, so I'm hemming and hawing between which players to pick for my, Yahoo league that I'm in with Aaron. And pretty much I came down to, I'm either going to keep Chris Olave or Devon Achane as my 4th keeper. And of course, Josh, I picked Chris Olave.
Oh no.
Suck, man. I know. I mean, keeping Chris Olave based on ADP was the significantly better value. So that's ultimately what guided my decision. I was just follow the numbers. You'll be fine. But certainly 2 weeks in, it's looking like Devon Achane would have been the much smarter keep, even if the value against ADP was not as good. But YOLO. Any more Chris Olave woes, Josh? I'd cut you off at the middle of your point.
No, but I mean, I think the only bright spot of that team is Jaden Daniels scoring 15. Tony Pollard, I guess. I will say that I did kind of luck out on some of my late round running backs. They're middle of the pack. But overall, my team is I put 81.5 points up in a full point PPR. I scored more than that in our standard league dynasty.
Brother.
So it's just like, yeah, my team is My team is hot trash and a half. But yeah, Walters, go ahead and yeah, you just about lost to a guy who drafted CMC first overall. But yeah, so there's that. But it's just been a lot of fun. I think the only way that I actually win a game in the Champs League or the Hidden Oaks Redraft League is if every single starting player on every single fantasy team gets hurt except mine.
Damn, brother, just like that, huh?
Yep. So I just need to arrange. I need to have Goodell arrange like a mid-season all-team bye week, and give all of them like certain wristbands, like red wristbands for guys that are on my team that can't get hurt.
Sure.
And then green wristbands for everybody that's on everybody else's team that can get hurt. And then I just need him to give them like I don't know, shellfish infused with COVID-19 on steroids, and then say, well, you got COVID, so that's 2 weeks, and then we'll just tack on the performance enhancing drugs after that. That's another. I'm going to change the rule to 10 weeks, so you guys are out. Looks like looks like that stinks.
Yep.
But he's not answering my calls, so I don't know how I'm going to get that planned out.
You'll figure it out, brother.
Yep.
And I don't know how long we'll have T. T is not necessarily always here plugged in. Josh, do you think it's any coincidence that T happened to decide to listen today, as he is currently in first place in the Hidden Oaks Redraft League? You think that's by chance a coinky dink, or
is he in first? I stopped paying attention to that after the draft.
Well, Josh is in last place. So that's why Josh doesn't care as much. But yes, T, I'll just give him his flowers. His team name is literally Cup of Flowers. So T is currently in first place. There's 3 teams that are 4-0 because we do games against the median in the Hidden Oaks Redraft League. So there's 3 teams that are 4-0. T is in first place with 264 points. Nikita's in second with 252. And some really handsome, suave, bearded man is in third place with 241.
Yeah, no, Nikita's team is, I'm looking at the points against, and I guess going up against a team that puts up 81 does kind of lower that overall points against, but her team is pretty solid. Hammer had that really solid, I think, week 1 with the points, which is why he's up there in points for. Points against, I thought maybe I'd be up there in points against. I'm not. I'm not even, I'm not. I haven't even broke 200 yet. Jesse hasn't either, so I am technically better than Jesse, but he ended up getting a win this week by 0.3 points or something like that. So congrats, Jesse. You're going to finish 1-13, and I'm going to finish 0-14 or whatever it is. So, or 0-28.
Josh is not upset about it, though.
Nope. I'm fine. Oh, look, Brad's here now. Brad, do you want to laugh at me too? Your dad did. When CMC got put on IR, I sent a trade offer to him ahead of time. And he goes, nice try. That's all he says back to me.
Nice try, you crafty swine.
So it's like, whatever. I thought about dropping him, but then knowing my luck, it'd be week 4 he comes back, or week 5 he comes back.
Oh, shit.
Oh, yeah, Brad, you didn't accept it? Nobody accepted it. It's like, it's possible he comes back, so it is more of a playoff push. Like, I offered him to Derek for Rashee Rice, and Derek said no, and I was just like, I can kind of get that, but if he comes back mid-season, even if he only plays week 13 on, you have Bijan Robinson and CMC as running backs. You don't need Rashee Rice.
That's true. I don't think you offered me a trade for CMC, Josh. What the hell?
Well, Puka's gone, so that didn't happen.
Well, let's swap hurt players. Let's swap Puka for CMC, even Steven.
I don't like Steven. Should we get into the weekly recap or not? The grain of salt.
That's fine. Yeah, shout out to Brad. We're not gonna sit here and do the only Hidden Oaks Redraft podcast, but shout out to Brad, who is currently in 6th place. He is, what's his record? 2-2. Yeah, he's 3-1. Brad's 3-1. Shut up. All right, so yes, Josh, let's go ahead and let's move on to the weekly recap, and that starts with our grain of salt. Why the hell would you people listen to us if we don't know what the hell we're talking about, Josh? Tell the folks, you just complained a lot about your teams, but let the folks know, is your win and loss record any better than all the CMC complaints you had, or are you struggling this year?
Well, I went 3-4 again. I am struggling this year. I did win in Victoria's Secret against Cassie. We went from the top 2 teams to the bottom 2 teams as far as points against, or points for. Not necessarily bottom 2. I lost against the median in that league because Jalen Hurts' pick to end the game last night legitimately, I was like 1 point ahead of Tyler for that last against the median, and then that interception was a -2. So I wrote a very happy letter to Jalen Hurts this morning in Cran. I wanted to deflate these balls in the Cripple Bowl, but that's going to turn into a losing streak because I'm out Debo and AJ Brown for the next few weeks. Kenneth Walker might be out, so I'm going to be trotting out guys that I haven't even heard of in wide receiver spot in flex. Lost in the Hidden Oaks redraft and lost in the median. Lost in the champs. I'm happy there's no median in that league because I'd be 0-4 in that league too. I won in the Hidden Oaks dynasty. I made Connor absolutely just embarrassed by eating my dirt. But he is also a victim of the injury bug. I believe like 4 of his starters that would or typically be starters are injured. But it's Connor. No one cares. He's the out of towner. Gar, how'd you do?
He's AIDS Ted for sure. My week was slightly better than yours, Josh, without question. I went. I'm not on my sheet. I'm on your sheet. I went.
5-2.
I don't have the number.
7-2.
I gotta fix the number beneath. I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I went 6-2 this week. I need to fix that. Oh, never mind. It's down here. I'm stupid. God damn it. All right, I went 6-2 this week. Sorry, everybody. Just like last week. So 2 weeks in a row, I've gone 6-2. So overall, my record is 12-4 on the year. That's a 75% winning percentage. 2 of my losses come from the Deflate These Balls leagues that I was talking about. They're not quite decimated, but certainly hurting there. Using the property of Joshua Allen Bunker Incorporated, or the intellectual property, I went 67-38 if I were playing every team in every league last week. So that's a 63.81 win percentage. So I'm inflated a little bit. Some of my teams aren't as good as they appear. I've gotten lucky a couple times. But overall, between the 2 weeks, I'm 137-75 hypothetically. So that's a 64.6% winning percentage. So just about 10% off from the 75 that my records show. Not a huge drastic difference. I'm still, way above 500, but I think I'm going to get some more losses in these next couple weeks here as my teams are not as good as the top line number appears.
Now that I've settled down a little bit, I will tell you my Joshua Allen Bunker Incorporated intellectual property result is I went 19-34 this week with a 35% win. I believe that's what it came out to be. I went winless in the, as I said earlier, Hidden Oaks redraft and Champions League. And then Hidden Oaks Dynasty, I beat everybody. And then 5-6 in Deflate These Balls and 5-6 in Victoria's Secret. Overall, I'm 48.81% in that property, and my overall record is 6-8 in the leagues at 42%. So I am doing better than my overall record by a little bitty
not bad.
bit.
And then since we
is it 2025 yet? Can we redraft?
No, but since we got some folks here, they might want to chime in. I missed this chat message. Anything important? T just said deserved. We won't go. I definitely won't make us push for a full hour. But since we actually got some people here listening live, so we know some people are listening, let's just talk about the Packers and the Vikes game, Josh, a little bit more closely, because I'm sure they'll want to hear what we think about it. I'll start with the Vikes since we got a Vikes crowd. Obviously, after week 1, I'm a temper your expectations kind of guy. I'm like, well, I mean, we beat the Giants. Who fucking cares? Not a big deal. But Josh, after 2 weeks, I can confidently say we are, as the Vikings, clearly Super Bowl bound. I have already purchased my tickets for the game in the city and the stadium that I don't even know. But trust me, I have already spent the 10 grand.
It's in
Saskatchewan.
Yeah, the Saints. It's in the Saints Stadium.
Apparently, I got a really good deal. Only 10 grand for 2 tickets, so I pulled the trigger right away. Craigslist is a great website. But no, obviously the Vikings looked good. For us to go, kind of even Steven, maybe even a better. What a steal! I know, only 10 grand. For us to go, able to beat the 49ers, but also do it somewhat convincingly. Like, of course, we were not going to stomp the 49ers. That would have been crazy. The same way we beat the Giants. But the Vikings team looks good, man. I still think after these 2 wins, maybe we're a 10-7 team now. I don't think we're going to go, 12 plus wins by any means. But the Vikes got to look good, Josh. And it's one of the only games I really watched this weekend, so I can't speak to too much else. But I'm sure you have some thoughts on the Vikes. And then, other games you watch, let's hear what you have to think.
Well, last year, the Minnesota Vikings, they finished at 7-10, which was 3rd in the NFC North. They also beat the San Francisco 49ers 22-17. I believe the final score of this game was 23-17, so it was a very similar outcome. So I would say that you guys are on trajectory to be about the same as last year, if not worse. I do think that it was. I mean, obviously, it was a good win. I do think that it'll be interesting to see how it goes because I think that Flores' defense comes out hot, but it falters as we saw last year with the Green Bay Packers going in and stomping Minnesota, and so that was fun. But then, yeah, we'll see. We could talk a little bit about Green Bay Packers. We all know that Malik Willis is the third best quarterback in the NFC North. Jordan Love is 1, Jared Goff is 2, and then Malik Willis is 3. Tied with Sam Darnold, I would say, after last week's performance. I will give him his flowers. But Malik Willis just went out there and said, "Yeah, I heard all the rumors, but I'm him." And Jordan Love, if you just want to write me a cashier's check for that big old signing bonus you got earlier this year, I'll be happy to take it. And then he's going to get paid that much money to hand the ball off to Josh Jacobs 55 times in a game. But overall, very surprising win, very happy win. But I do think that it was one of those things where the Colts' run defense is not that good this year, and it is going to be a very different test against the Tennessee Titans, whose defense is very solid. The only hope is that we actually get some pick sixes instead of just interceptions. But 5 interceptions through 2 games, that's not bad for a Green Bay Packers defense. I'll take it all day. But yeah, overall, very pleasantly surprised with the Green Bay Packers outcome.
Hell yeah, brother. T also pointed out in the chat that the Niners haven't won, or no, excuse me, Walters pointed out. I don't want to fucking hear about it, that I got the name wrong. Walters pointed out that San Francisco has never won in Minnesota, or since like 92 or 94 or something. So that's crazy. That's a crazy stat. There also that 97-yard bomb. It was early in the game. I don't remember exactly what quarter, what series or whatever, but that 97-yard bomb to JJ from Darnold, that was huge. Definitely reminded me of that Bernard Berrien bomb from so many moons ago. But, maybe we could argue that one fluke explosive play was the difference in the game, and, the Vikings can't keep that up. But also, fuck you guys, we won another game. What does Walter say? He says, looking ahead, how are we feeling about week 3? Minnesota versus Houston, Green Bay versus Tennessee. Wow. Walters, what a great producer note. Josh, what do you think about next week? I think the Vikings could do okay against Houston. I don't know. It's really tough to say. I don't know. I'll hear Josh's thoughts first.
Well, I guess it depends on if they're going to go against Houston with Joe Mixon or not, depending on how Joe Mixon's injury turns out. Green Bay, Tennessee, I already mentioned it's going to be more of a if it's Malik Willis again and Will Levis, it might just be a 0-2 game. That's
and the 2 comes from like a 50-yard fumble Ruski that the fucking Malik Willis misses the snap, and then it just
whoa. Why is it Malik Willis? He made some smart decisions. They were one-dimensional. So like if they hand the ball off and he only passes the ball 15 times again, it's going to be 0 for Green Bay. But the 2 points is going to come from Will Levis thinking he's going to big brain and throw it off the back goalpost into the other end zone with a giant ricochet bounce, thinking that's legal. When in reality, throwing it backwards is a fumble, and he's just too much mayo in his coffee. Yeah. So percent chance that Levis gets benched after week 3. Walter's just. I think you're talking to Chat GPT and you're not actually and you're waiting for them to respond because we don't care. Yeah. So
I have no idea who's even behind Will Levis, and because it used to be Malik Willis, right? They were just on the same team last year. So what the fuck is behind Will Levis? I have no idea. Is Brandon Weed still in the league?
I really hope it's a nice revenge game. Malik Willis goes out there and goes 49 for 50 with 7 touchdowns. Just absolutely murders Tennessee.
And then I want him to. I'll allow that if they're all to Jaden Reed.
I would, that might actually get me a win in Champs Branch Out, so I will take it. Granted, the rest of my team will probably put up negatives, and I'll probably still lose, but whatever. Yeah, so that is great.
I have no idea. I have no fucking idea what ADOT is, but
average distance of throw.
Oh shit! Wow, you guys got fucking big
Depth of
brains, dude.
throw?
I got
I
a
don't know.
fucking I got a smooth brain. And then T, wow, dude, is T a producer too? It's like the fucking producer in my ear letting me know that Mason Rudolph is their backup, bro. Look at the chat today. Look at what we got. 3 listeners, just raw dog, dude. We didn't. All I did was put out one little notification, and we got 3 people in here. Hell yeah, brother. All right, well maybe all 3 people want to play. I thought. No offense to Brad or T, I think Walters might be the only person to do this consistently every week, but we're going to try a new game on the podcast. Josh, we can start talking about that unless there's anything else you want to discuss from last week of football.
No, but I do think we should mention Bryce Young's little and got benched.
He did for what? Andy Dalton? Andy Dalton rises yet again?
Yeah, he's inevitable.
Andy Dalton is inevitable. All right, let's go on.
I do want to say, like, I called it in the beginning of the year, like the Panthers are going to be absolute garbage. I think everybody did. I do feel bad for him. I saw the thing, like there was a comment like Bryce Young throws interception and is in near tears. I was like, okay, that might be an overreaction. Nope, it was very accurate. He looked like he was about to cry on the football field. And I don't know. This is just going to kill this kid's confidence. He's going to like strap 10-pound or like 25-pound plates to his ankles and like hang onto a rafter trying to get taller so he could see over his line. But it's going to be rough.
What did T say? But at this point, does it matter who starts? Like, do they? I mean, only 2. Genuinely, T, only 2 weeks in. What the coach speak would be for a situation like that is like, man, we're only 2 weeks in. Every season's just one game at a time. All we need to do is stack together a couple wins, and we could be in the fucking playoffs, man. That's exactly what the coach speak will be out of Carolina, and so they genuinely. I mean, and coaches Jesus fucking Christ, a lot of G's. Coaches generally don't tank because that's not good for their future job prospects, nor do the players that are on the field. Usually the GM who pulls the strings of tanking or not. So yes, I would definitely think that they're gonna, in their current situation, whoever's in the building, they're gonna do everything they can to try and win that next game and try and make the playoffs. That's what the coaches and players are doing. The GM can try and do something else and sell some players and this and that, or maybe they'll try and put a couple players on IR, which changes things. But they are definitely still trying to win in Carolina without question. They won't do the Andy Dalton thing, I don't think, without trying to win. Or do you think I'm crazy, Josh?
No, I don't think you're crazy. I mean, because it's not like they're going to save his or Bryce Young's confidence by benching him at this point for Andy Dalton. I do want Dalton to be mic'd up every week from here on out, because there are comments saying like the coach is literally just calling the bad passes, and so it's on the coach's play calls because Bryce Young doesn't have. They're saying Bryce Young doesn't have the arm to throw it downfield, which, you know, granted, if you get drafted in the NFL, you've probably had to show that you could throw the ball downfield, because Tua had that same comment, and he's able to do that when he can, you know,
Tua's been fine.
Spell colors and things like that. And
oh my God.
And so I do think that he's, you know, he can throw. It's just whatever the play calls. So I do want Andy Dalton mic'd up, because I do want to hear, you know, this salty old non-vet go, that's the stupidest effing play call I've ever heard and on the field, just to see if it was right.
All right, Josh. And honestly, with these live listeners here, I say we keep hitting their questions for a little bit, unless are you in any sort of hurry or no? I don't think you are, but is there a certain time you want to be out of here by?
I 10 miles before this.
All right, so T.
What was the reason Bryce Young was considered?
No. Above that, is Bryce Young actually bad, or is it just a situation? It's almost, you could almost try to akin it to the Sam Darnold situation. Starts with the Jets, does not go well with the Jets. He's been a journeyman in the league, but now it's only 2 games in. I'm not going to say that, you know, we have saved Sam Darnold's career, but for 2 games, Sam Darnold has looked pretty darn serviceable. Maybe not second overall pick or whatever the hell he was for the Jets, but he's looked pretty good. Do you think Bryce Young has all the talent in the world, and it's just these coaches suck ass and all the, you know, the organization's terrible? Or what do you think? What's the story with Bryce Young?
I think it's a combination of both. I think he's just too flustered. He has nothing to do. He's trying to make too many big plays. He's little. You can't teach size. And so it's like you picked the wrong sport. You should have stuck to badminton or something. And it's unfortunate, because he made, like, his big thing in college was he made the right decisions. He was able to like get out of situations that would typically affect somebody of his size. So he was smart, but he's not showing any of that at this point in his career, according to, you know, what I've seen on the internet and what I've seen just in the replays. And so last year he didn't get any help from anybody. It was Adam Thielen was his wide receiver one, and he's not allowed to bring his walker on the field. So that was only going to last as long as Adam Thielen's, adrenaline shot lasted before he needed to go back to his walker. And so, I mean, Kyler's taller than Bryce Young. So that is a fun fact. And I think that Kyler is more of a mobile quarterback, whereas Young is wants to be more of a pocket. Bryce Young fits in Kyler's back pocket. So that's how little Bryce Young is. But now I lost my train of thought because there's too many people listening. I'm not used to this pressure.
This is crazy. The podcast hasn't been like this in forever, dude. Well, we appreciate you guys. We love you guys. And for those who listen later, whether it's Al or whoever else, whatever, dude. We got 3 friends here right now. But anyways, okay, so that was T's question, and then what the fuck did Walter say? What was the reason Bryce was considered the number 1 overall pick out of college? Josh, I think you've already touched on that, but if you want to say anything else.
Because of his decision making. I guess they're the same size, T. I had to fact check myself. We don't have a producer to do that, but they're both 5'10". I do think that Bryce is closer to 5'9". He just wore lifts during the draft or during the combine. But I think it goes back to their mobility, where Kyler is definitely more of a mobile quarterback and Bryce Young is not. And so there's, and then, I touched on Walter's question. Bradley says, after 2 weeks of rookie quarterbacks underperforming, does that give more credence to Brady's comments about QBs needing to sit and learn?
I can take this one if you want. I feel like you've been talking a lot, but if you definitely say something if you want to, but I just don't want you to feel like you have to answer every question you're on your own. You
can answer this one. I'll toss in.
Okay. I'll be short and sweet. We've talked about this a lot on the show, I believe. I absolutely think sitting is the right thing to do. I think we've talked about a lot. I think it's just, and it's not the only way you can succeed, right? Like if you're mentally tough enough, like we talk a lot about, we cite the Peyton Manning stat. If he had the most career rookie interceptions of any quarterback in history, I think, I'm pretty sure that record still stands. And Peyton Manning obviously was able to go on and have a successful career, get 2 rings. And some people would argue he was a better player than 2 rings. You can't always decide how many championships you get, but Peyton Manning, obviously, great Hall of Fame quarterback, first ballot, all the things. And he was able to do it without sitting. So I think some people hope that that's the case. But I think more often than not, sitting is the better thing. We've seen it with Green Bay. We've seen it with Mahomes. Brady sat. To me, and I don't have all the stats in front of me. I don't have all the different quarterback examples. Some, it depends on the individual, I think. But taking all the individuals out of it, just picking one way, sitting or not sitting, I will always prefer, just in my truthiness, to have the quarterback sit. Josh, do you agree, disagree?
For long-term success, yes. For immediate results, no. I mean, look at what happens with Penix and Cousins. They draft Penix to kind of build the future. Granted, he's like a 30-year-old rookie. But he was the older quarterback, I believe, in this draft. And so that is, that's one thing. CJ Stroud is what everybody's looking for. He is the outlier. Like, that is not going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen again, in the next 10 years.
No, not even Josh Allen was Josh Allen year 1. Like, that was...
No, he was year 3. That's when his big turnaround came. Joe Burrow, he was hurt. So it was like he sat because he was in the building doing rehab and all that stuff. So it was like he sat and learned, because it's more like learning the schedule, learning the routine of film and all that stuff. Because it's now their full-time job, whereas they were technically full-time students before. And so, Cousins sat for 3 years. You think about all the guys who bust more so than not. It's crazy to think about all the quarterbacks that bust. Just look at this year. Caleb Williams is a bust. J.J. McCarthy's a big bust. Bo Nix is a bust. I'm just kidding on those ones, by the way. But no, I'm trying to think of somebody who Baker even sat his rookie year. Remember?
I genuinely don't remember that, but I'll take your word for it.
And Herbert.
Herbert was in by like week 3. The plan was for him to sit, so you could argue that mentally he was just like, he was super chilled about it. But then Tyrod Taylor got fucking stabbed in the lung. But yeah,
and then Tyrod Taylor got hurt, and that's why Baker went in. Which is kind of just funny to think about. Daniel Jones, that might be the one thing that is kind of against our argument. Daniel Jones sat behind Eli, and
again, it's not. It's. I do think it's much more about the player. Like all these blanket rules or all these blanket things. Like those are, one rule will not fit every single quarterback. So there's going to be exceptions both ways. But again, if I had to choose, gun to my head, sit or not sit, I would choose sit. That's how I feel about it.
yeah, I agree on that one.
Now the people want to talk about, and then I think after this we will move on because I do want to get out of here by about 7:45, 7:50ish. We appreciate the chat so much. We love it. We definitely want to stay under an hour. We're about 35 minutes now, and we still have another thing to talk about after this. But primetime Kirk, Josh. Kirk Cousins is definitely someone we want to love in Minnesota. But a lot of people have a love-hate relationship. But he brought stability, if nothing else. TS was to touch on it. Walters lets us know Kirk Cousins played 14 games in his first 3 seasons. He was sitting behind RG3, of course, before he got a starting role. T also wanted to let us know that the Eagles are dead, and then Baker played 14 games. But Josh, Monday night game, did you catch any of it last night?
I watched all of it because I had to stay home from softball because Asher came home and, had nasty poopies.
Oh, no, not the nasty poopies.
Yeah. And then the dogs started new medications, so we didn't know how they'd react to that. They were, I guess, when you asked me how I'm doing, I didn't mention that Kaya and Odin, or Kaya definitely has a parasite from eating either rabbit poop or bugs or dirt. I don't know. She eats everything. Could be
Hell
glass.
Yeah. Same, brother.
And she needs to start this thing to clear this parasite out. It's not like a super big parasite deal, but she's supposed to be boarded because we're going to Nebraska on Thursday, and she can't be boarded with that parasite. Well, she's going to be boarded with that parasite. She just can't go play with the other doggies, they said. So yeah, I stayed home because I didn't know how that was going to go. So yeah, I watched all the game, and I just want to say, Clutchy Kirk. That's how I know Kirk.
Are you a believer in the clutch Kirk? He's no longer check down Charlie. He's now clutch. He's now clutch Kirko.
Well, after listening to the Pat McAfee show today and finding out that he now leads the NFL in comebacks in the last minute or overtime of a game, yeah, I guess I have to give him his dues.
Does that hurt you to admit that, Josh?
Atlanta Falcons great, Kirk Cousins. Why would I be mad about that?
Just like Atlanta Falcons great, Brett Favre. All right, yeah, I did not get to catch the second of the game, so I had to rely on you for that one. But I heard that Kirk was clutch. So you could. The only argument I think you could make against Kirk is maybe you shouldn't be that behind in so many games. Maybe you should just be a more dominant QB and win the game in the first 3 quarters, or the first 3.5 quarters. But you know what? Kirk's gonna Kirk.
Stafford.
Well, someone's got to do it. All right, I don't give a fuck about Walters, whatever the fuck Walters is talking about right now. We're going to move on. Thank you, everyone, so much for the questions. If you have a couple more, we'll maybe hit a couple more at the end, but we will ignore the chat for just a little bit while we talk about this new game idea. Inspired by Al and inspired by things in real life and inspired by all the things. Maybe Walters had this idea before. But we're trying to keep the podcast a little interesting, and Walters, I think this is something you'd want to play, and Al, if you listen, maybe Brad or T, but we want to do the NFL player exchange. Just like the stock exchange, we're gonna have a twist on the game. Points are going to be currency, and the game will get more difficult as life goes on, just like the real stock market probably. But what's going to happen, the gist is points are currency. If you want to play the game, you start with 100 points to spend. And what you do is you will buy and sell players at their PPG, their points per game. We're going to use Sleeper as the official record. Shut the fuck up, Walters. We're going to use Sleeper as the official points record. We're going to use the PPR stat in Sleeper. So if you go in Sleeper, you click on a player, their player card comes up. If you look on the top, not the exact top, but the mid right-ish, you will see points per game. You'll see it's standard and PPR for most players. We're going to use the PPR one. So that's the point of reference. We all have Sleeper, anyone who plays and listens to this. And you have 100 points to spend. So let's say, for example, I wanted to buy Kirko Chains because he's had a pretty slow 2 weeks. Right now, Kirk Cousins' points per game is 12.87. So I would definitely think that's a buy low opportunity. I think Kirk Cousins' point per game is gonna come up. So I would buy Kirko chains at 12.87, and then I could sell them whenever I want. I could hold them for the rest of the season and try and profit that way. Hold them for a couple weeks till that goes up, and then sell them and use my points to buy other players. But that's how it would work. We all start with 100 points, and then we buy and sell only on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. We don't want to do it in the middle of the gaming week. I don't think that's as fair, so we'll just do it we'll limit it to Tuesdays and Wednesdays. But yeah, you would buy players other points per game, and then right now, after just 2 weeks, there's a couple sell high opportunities just to use as an example. Chris Godwin, I don't think most people think Chris Godwin's going to keep a pace of 23.5. So let's say you had already bought Chris Godwin. Obviously, you can't just pick to sell a player you don't have. But if you had bought Chris Godwin at the beginning of the year, and he's now sitting at 23.5 points per game, that's nuts. So you would probably want to sell Chris Godwin because you don't think he's going to maintain that. Or the Vikings defense. I think you could even include, defenses and kickers if we really wanted to. There's no reason we can't. Literally just a game I came up with. But they're at 17.5 right now points per game. That is also insane. And then, yeah, that's the gist of it. You buy and sell players based on their average points per game. Any initial thoughts, Josh? We briefly talked about it before we started recording. You and I don't really have good examples. We'll fill out our rosters, we think, next week. You don't think you'll get to it tomorrow?
I might get to it tomorrow. So I guess I wasn't listening. What are we doing?
I will murder you.
No, I guess are we doing like a full roster? Is that?
No, I mean, again, so you're the most limiting factor is your budget. So you can buy, if you wanted to buy, this is our first time. We'll make more rules either as the year goes on or next year once we have a better idea if we want to do it again next year. But the only limiting factor is your budget. So you have 100 points to spend to begin with. So if you wanted to buy 10 player points and just ride them up or down, you could do that. If you wanted to buy just 4 25 player points to start, you could do that. If you just want to buy 2, 20 player points and sit on $40 and see how that rides and just then, 60. Or sit on $60. Yes, excuse me. If you think that would be the best strategy, if you think it's too hard to predict, it's just trying to have the most points at the end of the year. So
what if I want to buy 100 IR players?
I mean, I'm sure Christian McCaffrey has a points per game right now, technically, right? So
why he hasn't played this year?
Hasn't he? Oh, you're right. So I guess I would not let you buy someone at 0 like that. They would have to have played at least one game. But yeah. So that sounds good to you? That sound fun?
Yeah, I'm game.
All right, and it'll obviously make, sitting here and giving a long explanation of game rules is never a good way to learn. But I think it'll make plenty sense once we get going. So Josh and I will let we'll let people know if we're going to play this week and they can get their players in by, I don't know, end of day tomorrow, and then we'll talk about it more next week. And speaking of the note you're putting in here, Josh, Saturday, I've already stated I'm kind of over Saturday mornings, so I don't want to do Saturday mornings anymore. Do you want to just say weekend podcast? We try and coordinate individual weekends and see if it works out for like a Friday night or a Saturday night or something, or do you just want to say no more weekend pods? We're back to 1 a week. What feels better for you?
Until my teams start winning more frequently, let's just do 1 a week.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. No, 1 a week is probably going to work better just with my schedules and everything. Because like I said, I'm going out of town this weekend. But if we have like a special announcement, maybe like on Rival, maybe when, I guess that is just, week 4, but the Packers and the Vikings game or whatever.
Hell yeah. All right. Yeah. So right now, just playing on the Tuesday night podcast. We hope to not go an hour, maybe 45 minutes will be the sweet spot, but we can be pretty long-winded sometimes. But then maybe every so often we'll throw in a bonus weekend pod when, Josh and I are both feeling up to it. All right, everybody. That's the show. No more questions popped up in chat, so we love you guys. Josh, anything else you want to say before we go ahead and end the show?
Go Packers.
Hell yeah, brother. Go Packers indeed. Walters, I'm not going to let you speak, but Brad, Walters, and T, we will say you thank you so much for listening. We love you. The podcast is the most fun. We've got listeners like you. Obviously, Josh and I do it for us because it's a fun little hobby. But when you guys are engaged like you were tonight, it's awesome. So I just want to say, Josh, what the fuck did you just do, Josh? What? Okay. Josh chose Chaos. Walters was on the speakership for a minute. But anyways, all right. I'm going to for sure end the podcast for real. And then we will talk to you guys next Tuesday. Thank you. Love you.
I just want to demonstrate my control over Walters.
You invited him up just to kick him back down?
Yes.
All right. Love you guys. Talk to you next week. Skol Vikes.
Hey T, that's part of your wedding video, isn't it? That's you?
That's T. For sure, for sure.
All right, bye friends. Love you. Go Packers.
F you. All right, Walters, you got 30 seconds you can ruin if you want.
Not while I'm here. Go Packers.
I was just hoping he would go on a bigger rant about losing to me in champs.
Can't win them all, brother.
Yeah, oh well. That move was pretty solid by Josh, though. Inviting me up on the stage and then just kicking me to the curb.
Just telling
Like
you
the
to suck
dog I am.
it. Yeah. Oh, fuck. Do you think you'd participate in something like that, Walters? I don't know if you're bored enough in your personal life, but the NFL player exchange of that, it'll pique your fancy, or no? That sound awful.
Yeah, I'll take a look at it. I was trying to look online at the Sleeper website because I'm at my computer, but I forgot that Sleeper hates.
No, yeah,
web
the
browsers.
website, you cannot see their points per game on the website. You'll have to do it from your phone. And I reckon just so everyone can verify the price, assuming we get, I don't know, maybe Al to play too, we would need, I'll be the universal source of things. Send me screenshots of what their points per game is as you're screenshotting. And it should all be the same for everyone on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, but screenshots would be the way to go. So it'd be like, I'm confirming buying or selling at this price, and you're sending me the price. So no one can question it. It's on the screen right there, you know?
We'll make a Google sheet.
Yeah, oh, for sure. We'll have to run it through Google Sheet. But all right, I'm going to stop recording now. And Walters, I'm going to head out. Bradley, I love you too.
Bye!
Bye.